Welcome back to another episode of the Course Creation Incubator. I'm Gina Anativia, your course coach and digital strategist, and as of today, your planning guru too. My days working in corporate made me a master planner. When I worked for Tony Robbins, I didn't want to miss a deadline, a meeting, or a milestone. I loved how we planned out everything about 6 months in advance. I knew what was coming, so I could plan on recording this course, or heading up an event, or jumping into a special project. We also, in my opinion, did a great job in looking back, debriefing, what worked, what didn't, and there was never any finger pointing. It was just a real examination of how we could do better. It's a process I carry with me to this day. And I love a mid-year check-in because so often we ramp up for a new year and then that's it. We don't tend to measure where we are month to month. So by June, you may lose sight of the goals or outcomes you set for the year a few months earlier. And here's another reason I love a mid-year check-in. It's usually difficult to plan for something more than 6 months out. Especially now, so much is changing in this environment. I have clients trying to figure out business plans for the next 5, 6, 7 months. Are we going to be together in person? Are we going to allow to have bigger workshops and events? Mid-year planning allows you to have that flexibility. Now, if you've been listening to this podcast, you know I'm the let's get shit done gal. Because far too often we have goals and then don't put action behind them. Mid-year planning allows you to reevaluate those goals, pivot if needed, and make sure they actually get done. You know the stats. Approximately 80% of people who make New Year's resolutions have dropped them by the second week of February. Many don't even make it that long. Research conducted by Strava using over 800 million user-logged activities in 2019 said the day most people are likely to give up on their New Year's resolutions is January 19th. Strava calls it Quitter's Day. And when I found this out, I thought, how freaking sad that there's a day called Quitter's Day. That is not for you and me, okay? I don't want us to be quitters. No quitters are listening to this episode or this podcast. You know I want you to get across the finish line more than anything. And beyond getting your course done, I want you to have a plan for your business, and I really want you to grow. And there's no better way to do that than the mid-year check-in. Okay, have I sold this? Yes? All right, I recently had a gut check and planning session with my online business manager, Becky, and I wanted to share some of the questions and flow and process that we worked through together. This check-in can also be your reset. If you don't like where you're headed with your business, it allows you the time to stop and pivot. Think about where you really want to go. Whatever the reason for you to do this planning, I want you to do some version of this. And by the way, if you can, enlist some help. It was huge to have Becky to pitch and catch with. And if you don't have a team member just yet who you feel like is at the level where you can do that with, pick a friend or a colleague who's on your sounding board who you can do this process with. To kick things off, step 1, I always like to start with what's great. Write down 3 to 5 things you feel are going well with your working strategy, your business, your course sales. It might be that your lead magnet is done or that your nurture campaign is written. Maybe your podcast has seen a 10% uptick in downloads. Maybe you hired a new team member who's just crushing it and giving you absolute leverage. Celebrate people, projects, wins, habits. Really think about your celebrations. I am as guilty as the next gal of just moving on without celebrating the huge wins that I should have. And along with your celebrations, write down how you're going to celebrate if you haven't done that already. Step 2, what's not working as well? What do you hope to change? Now, this is not a time to just dump, and dwell in negative thinking. I want you to take a keen and smart eye toward what isn't worth your time. Also ask what hasn't worked that can be modified. I love taking projects that didn't work the first time out and giving them a refresh and relaunching. A lot of times you can, for example, take a lead magnet or a guide that didn't perform as well, make a few tweaks, and send it back into the world to some actual success. Or maybe you need to survey your audience about what they really want to see and make revisions from there. If you know something isn't working, but you're not sure what to change, this can be a great time to ask colleagues or other business owners for their input. For example, recently in my 6-week accelerator program, a member had questions about her sales page. She brought in the group, and different members were able to offer feedback and suggestions to help her make it even stronger. Sometimes you're too close to the work to see what could be changed to make it even better. And if you're really ready to take your business to the next level, be willing to ask for that feedback and help. Step 3, ask what habits are working for you? What habits would you like to change? Becky and I talked about working less on nights and weekends because we've both gotten into this bad habit of working 24/7. And I've gotten into a really bad habit of not communicating what I really want. Like my team or my clients or my students are supposed to read my mind. I'm supposed to be a freaking communication expert and I can't even help myself. So I get mad when people don't respond to what I'm clearly not communicating. So that's a habit that I know I need to work on over the next 6 months. And if you're having trouble with this one, ask a friend or colleague, have you been observing anything where I've been complaining or maybe felt frustrated? If there's a habit you'd like to change, get really clear on what that looks like. For example, if you don't want to work in the evenings, what time are you committed to ending your workday? Even better, how are you going to support yourself in changing these habits? Because sometimes you can't even recognize your own patterns, right? I've already acknowledged that. And now that you've done that look back, as part of step 4, what are your goals for the rest of the year? How many times do you want to launch? What list building would you like to do? What hires would you like to make? Make a list, just brainstorm everything you want to do. It's not a time to be critical. Write down every idea that comes to mind. I had a list that started back in 2020, and I've added to it in the last few months. Now, as step 5, as part of this process, I want you to ask yourself, out of this list, what is a true priority for you? Becky and I came up with a list of 10 projects that we wanted to launch. Like, we could have kept going, we could have worked on more. But we stopped ourselves and we asked, what's a true priority for the business? What do our students really need right now? And what could I truly make time for? So what's a true priority for you? Allow yourself to be super honest here. This is your business, so what really matters? And if you want to go a bit deeper, write out the why. Why does this matter? Why is this a priority? Looking at your list, ask, how does this support the business? How does this move us forward? Does this feel like the right step for me? Can I commit to this with everything else on my plate? What will change in my business and or life as a result of meeting this goal or completing this project? Based on these questions, Becky and I whittled down that list of 10 projects to 5 priorities, 5 to thrive. Then we took those 5 priorities and ranked them. What's the top priority out of the 5? So we know if stuff blows up and we only have so much time, we want to make sure we get that one project done, that one priority project. Then we put action items against each of those top 5 priorities. What are the subtasks that need to happen? What are the milestones? Part of creating these tasks and action items is deciding what you can delegate, because you don't have to get it all done yourself. Look at how you do each project most efficiently and effectively. And of course, be willing to delegate. Be protective of your time and energy. Becky's really been helping me with this. How can you best use your time to move the business forward? How can you best use your team to move the business forward? Finally, step 6, ask yourself one final question. What help, what resources do I need to make this vision for the next 6 months happen? Do I need to hire a coach? That's how I figured out my communication problem, by the way. Do I need to hire more people on my team? Maybe you need a mastermind, an accountability group, or some sort of community to connect with other business owners. If you need to hire, allow yourself to get really specific on what you need someone to do. Then start looking for candidates who can meet those needs within your business. And if you're worried about hiring, it's okay to start small. Pick a few action items on your list that would make a difference if you could delegate them. Even if it only takes a couple hours of your week, just think about what you could do to meet your goals and move your business forward with those 2 or 3 extra hours. I hope that was helpful. Even if you do part of this mid-year check-in, it will get you thinking about where you want to go. And I'd love to hear some of your insights after you go through this process. Find me on Insta or Facebook at Course Creation Boutique and share some of the things that came up in your own mid-year check-in. I'm great at holding course creators accountable, so if you want to make sure you get things done, absolutely share those goals with me. Please rate and review this episode, especially if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe. Until next week, go create, be you and be brilliant, and get it done.